I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 241. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Tardello, coming to you on Tuesday, August 18th, and we've got a mailbag. First mailbag in a while. Excited to crack it open and answer some of your questions. A lot of you from YouTube got in on the comments, asked a question. Appreciate you guys participating there. And on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Lots of great questions there. A great question, a great reminder from the last mailbag to do an all-time Texas State, Southwest Texas State, Bobcats 2 Deep by my guy Derek De La Cruz. He reminded me that in the last mailbag, I said I would come back and do that again. I have it for you this time. I spent a lot of time on that 2 Deep, so crack your knuckles, sit back, and relax as soon as I start that question. I have it as the last question I'll answer because I feel like I'm going to go a little bit long. That's a lot of players. That's 44 former Bobcats and some current Bobcats. Oh, hint, hint on that one. Fun mailbag coming up for you. I also have some notes from fall camp. The Bobcats are practicing at UFCU Stadium, gearing up for the season. Lots to go over. On episode 239, I went over the offensive notes that I was seeing at fall camp. Those are still holding up. I went back and listened, was like, okay, that still sounds pretty good. There's a few other notes. So we'll focus on the defensive side for this one because I haven't gotten to you yet. A defensive 2 Deep, if you will, looking at some of those guys out there that we'll talk about. Some of it is in the question, so I'll hold back on some of the fall camp notes, but a few things to go over before we jump into that mailbag. One thing to go over before we jump into it all. This episode is brought to you by TGC LLC, thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, thegalindocollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, thegalindocollective.com, and follow their social media platforms on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at TGC_LLC, and check them out on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective on those two platforms. Shout out to my guy Rick Galindo, a true Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad himself. This is the 4th season he has teamed up with Win Now or Get Bent. Cannot thank him and the Galindo Collective enough. Go check them out again, thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, thegalindocollective.com. This episode is also brought to you by Family First Cremation Services. Family First Cremation Services. When your family is facing the loss of a loved one, you deserve compassionate care, honest guidance, and transparent pricing, not high-pressure sales tactics. Family First Cremation Services is locally owned and operated by Diane Lee, a licensed funeral director with more than 20 years of experience offering affordable cremation, burial, memorial, and pre-planning services tailored to your family's wishes. They proudly serve families from their location in Magnolia, Texas. For immediate assistance, call 979-588-2509. That's 979-588-2509, or visit FamilyFirstCremationServices.com. Again, that's FamilyFirstCremationServices.com. Family First Cremation Services, providing dignified, affordable care when your family needs it most. One more, bhihats.com. If you are watching on YouTube, youtube.com/@winnow or get bent, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. You can see me wearing a Cats by 90 hat. Let me fix it for the camera right there. Cats by 90 hat. I haven't busted this bad boy out since last season, I believe. I usually wear that state hat. That's also a bhihats.com. Been having it hats. They've got these sweet hats for you. Cats by 90, state script. They're 3D embroidered. They are excellent hats. I wear them all the time. This one specifically, my wife always takes from me. That's why I haven't seen it in a while. And I said, hey, BHI Hats is back. I got to find that for this one. I'll bust out the state hat for the next episode. But check out what they've got. Lots of options there. bhihats.com. You punch in WNOGB at your checkout. You get 10% off. So there you go. WNOGB at checkout for 10% off. We're saving you money here at Win Now or Get Bent. Go check them out again. BHIHats.com. Been having it hats. Gotta have it. All right. Let's get to these Bobcats, shall we? Boy, I'll tell you what. We're going fans on. I apologize to some of the audio listeners out there and visual. You know, you're listening if you're watching. Struggling to turn it on. There we go. All right, I got to do it. It's hot. This is going to be a good long episode. Hopefully that's not too loud. I think I'm louder than the fans, so we can overcome it. We're only going to do this in August. I promise we'll keep fans off into September and into the season. But I got to do it for this one. I was at a funeral this weekend in West Texas. Unfortunately, my wife's grandmother passed away, so that's why we're a little late on this episode. And this is the only time I can really get it in is the afternoon. It's pretty hot right now in the studio, in the hot box I'm in right here. So we're going fans on. Before we get to football, real fast, Texas State soccer, their season began. A tied game against UTSA to start the season at UTSA. Apparently a very physical match. I didn't see it myself, but from everybody reporting on it, there was no love lost between UTSA and Texas State. Not a surprise there. That game ended in a tie, but the Bobcats got a win on Sunday night against UTRGV for the first win of the season. Aggies coming to San Marcos on Wednesday. Go check out some Texas State soccer. I'm gonna get out there this season. I really want to bring my daughter out. She's about to turn 4 in October. I think she's really starting to enjoy these outings that we go on. But yes, Texas State soccer, they are rolling. Volleyball is going to be rolling soon too. You know, I'm pretty sure. Should have double checked an update on volleyball. We'll get to them later this week because I've got multiple episodes planned this week. I had that planned last week, and then things happen with life, and you gotta switch it up. Some fall camp notes, some defensive notes specifically. I guess real quick, I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, 239. I talked a lot about the offense, what I was seeing at fall camp. Not much has changed there, whether it's the offensive line, tight end, receivers, running backs. It's obviously it's a bit of musical chairs at that position. It's a different guy seemingly every time I go out to practice. But that's one of the questions in the mailbag, so I'll save running back talk here in a sec. I think if there is another competition outside of running back that is cooking, it's that third receiver spot. We've talked about that before on the pod. Pretty sure I brought it up in 239 as well. We know Chris Don. We know Bo Sparks. Those are your 1-2 punch at the receiver position. That third receiver is a little more up in the air. I've mentioned Zachariah Sample quite a bit this fall camp. He's still looking great. Real athletic guy. Scores a touchdown, does a backflip. Fun to watch him. That's the Arizona State transfer out there wearing number 3. He's looking really good. But then you have guys like Tucker Casano, a young guy really breaking through, number 13 out there. He's battling with Kylan Evans, who's looking a lot better this season after a little bit of struggle, some drops. If you listen to the last episode, 240, spoke to Brad Jackson about Kylan Evans and his development. I thought he was really forthcoming with that whole situation. So that third receiver spot, that's one spot that I'm really looking at for the offense and who's going to emerge there. Because then you have other young guys. Damian Crow's looking great in practice, like a Chris Don Jr. light. Damian Crow. It's going to be a bit of a competition, pretty deep at that receiver room, deeper than I anticipated going into fall camp. But let's talk some defense. I know one of the questions is about the offensive and defensive lines coming up, what we're looking at for a 2 deep there. So I'm going to spoil a little bit of that question when talking about the defense. But when we're looking at the edge guys, for this defensive line, it's been a lot of Joe Landry and a lot of Don Terry Russell. I think those are going to be your starters, even with Tymir Jackson coming in. Tymir Jackson not with the team all through the offseason. He's going to have to get in a little bit of game shape before the start of the season, so I can see him being a bit of a relief player for at least for the beginning of the season. But Joe Landry and Don Terry Russell look fantastic. Joe Landry, there's as much excitement around him than I've ever seen around a defensive lineman at Texas State. I mean, not even just from the coaching staff or players, but you've got former players, guys like Jim Duncan, former quarterback here at Texas State, who we'll bring up in the all-time list. He goes to every single practice, and man, does he rave about Joe Landry. JoJo out there. So, and then Don Terry Russell, looking great, wearing number 5, taller guy, almost looks like a basketball player on the boundary. Got to speak to him in that last episode 240, did an interview with Don Terry Russell. Right behind them, though, we have Tadarius Collins. He's coming back this year after coming on strong towards the end of the year. Dante Keys is getting a lot of playing time. He's a young guy, a redshirt freshman. He's out of Belleville High School, 6'3", 260 for him. We're seeing some Blake Isbell as well. I said Dante Keys first, but I meant to say Blake Isbell before Dante Keys, redshirt freshman out of Capel. Blake Isbell wearing number 33. Looks strange, the bell and the 33. Some of you know what I'm talking about there. We're also seeing a lot of TJ Burkhalter at the edge spot. It's up in the air whether who's the second deep on this list after the top guys with Russell and Joe Landry, but a lot of TJ Burkhalter. If you remember TJ Burkhalter, one of the highest rated recruits Texas State has ever signed. He's an inside linebacker. They have moved him to edge this year, and he's getting a lot of playing time in camp. There's Mekhi Buchanan as well. He's the transfer from Virginia. Jason Patterson, the transfer from Texas Southern, getting in the mix out there. And then, of course, Tymir Jackson. Just haven't really seen him with the 1-2 deeps. One practice I went out there. He has a jersey but no number yet. And one practice went out there and saw him getting in the mix quite a bit. So maybe he is starting to get a little healthier. But right now, those starters at the edge, Joe Landry, Don Terry Russell, pretty confident in that one. Defensive tackle, I have 2 spots, 4-2-5 with this defense. I have 2 spots for the defensive tackles, but I have 4 names under 1A and 1B because, boy, they rotate that interior of the defensive line quite a bit. At the top at 1A, Bryce Carter, returning player, 6'3", 309 pounds, started 10 games last year before getting hurt, so it's a returning starter for them. But then Chancellor Owens, that's a player who I haven't really seen leave the first team unit. Every time the ones go out there, it feels like number 90 is out there on this defensive line. Chancellor Owens, 6'3", 296. He got a shout out in Bruce Feldman's Freaks list. We brought that up on episode 240. He's going to be playing a lot. So of all the guys I'm naming, I'm the most confident Chancellor Owens will be a starter. The other 3 guys might be rotating in quite a bit with each other. But for my 1B, I have Tay Woody, the ULM transfer. What a big guy he is out there wearing number 4, 6'4", 303 pounds for Tay Woody. And then Philip Bradford, another player that we spoke to for the Media Day episode 240. Got to hear from him. 6'6", 308 pounds. He's a McNeese transfer, so he has that relationship with Coach G. But Philip Bradford, they're moving guys around quite a bit. Specifically, those 4 guys are switching in and out on that interior defensive line. Below them, you have some Jalen Harris, the Central Missouri transfer. J.P. Dieter, who's here last year, transferred him from Arizona State, was more of an edge guy when he got to Texas State. They've had him put on some weight. He's moved to the inside. Caleb James, the Arkansas transfer, seemed like he was going to be edge, but they're moving him inside. Josiah Ali out of Trinity Valley Community College. He's a big guy himself, number 88. Cam Christian, the true freshman, very deep on the interior defensive line. They've got a lot of big bodies to throw out there. Linebacker, if there is a position that I have concerns about on the defense, I would say it's linebacker is my top one. Mainly, they have guys who are returning with experience. You have Traylon Payne coming back, who's got a ton of experience. I mentioned it a little bit with Tymir Jackson, where they do have to get back into shape after not being with the team all off season and getting to fall camp somewhat late. There is going to be a little bit of a curve where they need to get back into game shape and everything. But Traylon Payne, I mean, I anticipate him being a starter. He's not with the ones as of yet. The guys we've seen with the ones a lot are Aiden Jones, a returning starter, and Terrence Cooks, also a returning starter. Jones had 9 starts last year, 56 tackles. Cooks played in 13 games, 4 starts with 50 tackles. So those are guys with experience in this defense. Right below them are 2 guys who don't have a whole lot of experience, and that's Tice Williams switching over from safety to interior backer, really talented player wearing number 28 out there, and Darius Diggy Davis, a true freshman, wearing number 23 out of San Marcos High School. Boy, has he been getting a ton of praise from G.J. Kinney, from Will Windham, the defensive coordinator. They are praising Diggy a whole lot, talking about how early he gets there. He's there before the coaches, one of the first players in the door, which is remarkable for a man who's that young. He is a local, so maybe he just knows the quicker routes to get to the stadium, being out of San Marcos High School. But I thought it was just a lot of talk about a true freshman. You know, oh yeah, he's looking great. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he'll start. Really seems like they're backing that up. It's not just spring ball talk. That's going into fall camp, and he is getting out there quite a bit. Even led the warm-ups at the beginning of practice one day when I was out there. So Darius Diggy Davis. Diggy, great nickname too. Gotta love that one. And then also I have these guys listed at 3, but they've played with the 2s. They've even played with the 1s. I think they're really starting to it's a bit of musical chairs. Like I was saying at the running back position, it's a similar situation with linebackers trying to figure out what's the right combination, which 2 guys go in there. But one specific day when I wrote these notes, I saw Javante Mackey, big guy, Arkansas State transfer, and Cole Nillis playing another big guy himself, both playing at the same time. I imagine that's some sort of goal line package to counteract a jumbo package from the other team. Just get some really big bodies to man the middle of the defense. But then you see them put them in there with you've seen a lot of Mackey with Jordan Sample, another Arkansas State transfer. So they're mixing and matching that linebacker position. That's why I feel like they have the right guys. They got to figure out the right combination, and that's when I say, oh, I'm a little concerned with that linebacker spot. That's really what I mean. I think it's just going to take some figuring out, you know. But they have the guys. I just named a whole bunch of them. I barely talked about Traylon Payne, who had 107 tackles last season. You know, I think he's gonna do some great things once he's game ready. You know, got there a little bit earlier than Tymir, so I imagine his trajectory is a little quicker for getting back out there. Safeties, boy, I've been really impressed with the safeties on the defense. Corner, I thought I had more confidence going into fall camp, and then after watching them a little bit, a few questions, not really with the starters or the immediate backups, but the depth below that. But safety, I feel like they're as deep as I've seen them at that position. I've seen a lot of Ryan Nolan and a lot of Jaden Bradley. That shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that's been listening to this pod. Ryan Nolan, a returning team captain. Imagine he'll be a captain again this season. We know what he's capable of. Jaden Bradley is a redshirt freshman who has had as much praise as any player. Jolazin Landry and Jaden Bradley have been the 2 top praised defensive players this fall camp. And I really saw him get nasty at practice the other day. You know, nothing too bad, but they were tricking the receiver. The corner backed off, and up came Jaden Bradley pressing the receiver right at the line. And man, he didn't go anywhere. That receiver, as soon as he got his hands on him, pressed him. Totally legal play. Hopefully that's not giving away too much scheme. I just realized how much I was just talking about. But yeah, just watching him come up and check him, and it's like that's a physical guy. Also seen a lot of Jaden Lawton on the back end and a little bit at the star position as well. Jaden Lawton is a player I've been really high on since he got at Texas State. Dealt with a lot of injuries last season. So he was a corner last year. Now he's moving to safety, maybe even that star position. But he's a bigger defensive back, so I could see why they're moving him around kind of at that star position and some other places. I hit that P real hard on there. Kind of back up from the mic a little. I get excited, lean forward. But below those guys, Chase Davis, I say below them, but he's playing a lot with the first unit as well. Chase Davis is getting in there quite a bit. Same with Greg Gibson. John Smith, the Colorado State transfer, he's getting in there. He's originally from Baytown. John Smith. Will Mitchell II. It seems like after really popping off early in the season as a young player last year and then getting injured like 3-4 games into the year and missing the year, has set back his development. because he is a little further on the depth chart than even I anticipated, because it's a track star in high school and everything. And they're also really deep at that safety position. And moving him from star to safety, which he might also play some star. It seems like that's in flux, who's going to be the star outside of Amari and Atwood. But so we'll see where Will Mitchell II ends up, because he's a really good player himself, talented player. We saw it start to shine through the first 3 games of last year. Cornerback, the starters have been pretty set since day one with Craig Royal Jr. and Trez Moore, 2 very experienced guys. Trez Moore with a loads of experience. Craig Royal really started to come along late in the season last year. So those are going to be the starting quarters. Behind them, Cordorian Powell, C.D. Powell. He had a nice interception at a practice I was at. We saw him last year do some great things, knocking some passes down in the end zone when he got his opportunity. And then Michael Patterson III, I don't know how much I've talked about him. He had a terrific interception at a practice I was at, was stride for stride with the receiver, right on his hip, ball goes up, 50-50 shot, who's going to come down with it? And it was Michael Patterson III who got it. So talented player himself, out there wearing number 19. Below those 4 guys, it's a little okay, not sure exactly who's going to get out there. We've seen Christopher Jones, really long pick 6 last season, talented player himself. Malik Willis, who's a transfer from Campbell, we saw him a little bit last season. Just below those initial 4 that I named is a little up in the air. So it's linebackers and corners are positions that, if I have concerns at it, are those. And maybe it's just because I need to see the right combination there. We'll see how it goes once the season kicks off. And then the star position, the 5th DB in this 4-2-5 defense, Amari Atwood is playing the most out there. Dexter Ricks is getting quite a bit of playing time. Liberty transfer Dexter Ricks. They're moving in some other guys. Jaden Lawton's getting in there a little bit. That seems like a spot that they are also trying to solidify and figure out linebacker star position. Who are the right guys? What's that combination? But there you go. Defensive notes for fall camp before the mailbag. Had to deliver that after going in deep about the offense. Again, if you want to hear about the offense, go back. And you didn't hear episode 239, go back, listen to that one. Still some really relevant information in that episode. But let's get to the mailbag. Where are we at? The 22-minute mark. We're getting to this mailbag. Boy, it's going to be a long pod. That's why I had to turn the fans on. I'll go through these questions pretty quick. And even when I do the all-time 2 deep at the very end, which is a lot of fun, I hope you stick around for it. It's a blast. I put in a lot of work. I've honestly thought long and hard about it. Did a lot of research. Shout out to the Texas State Hall of Honor. That really was my biggest resource in players, specifically on the offensive line, before my time. I've been covering Texas State since 2008, so there's a lot of Southwest Texas State football before I arrived and had been covering it, and I wanted to make sure to properly honor those guys. So hang in there. I'll be as short-winded with it as I can. But let's go. Let's jump into questions right off the bat. These ones are from Twitter to start. This one's from Curtis Spillman. My guy Curtis, heard from you before, heard from you a lot. Hope you are doing well. He says, are there any running backs that caught your eye other than Jalen Jenkins, and Torrance Burgess? Great question. That's why I held off when I was talking about the 3rd wide receiver. That is the other. The 3rd wide receiver is there. Yes, there's a definite competition going on there. The biggest competition on this offense is at that running back position. And it feels like it's a new running back every single day that we go out there. The one I've seen the most is Torrance Burgess. Haven't seen Jalen Jenkins as much as I anticipated. A lot of Torrance Burgess and then a lot of Tajee Atkins. Tajee Atkins, the Rice transfer, spent 1 season at Rice, came to Texas State real late, like in fall camp, I believe, if I have that right. Last season, didn't play much with the Bobcats last year. He's out there now wearing number 0. I've seen him get loose a few times, looking good. Tajee Atkins, if there's anybody outside of Burgess and Jenkins who I'm thinking is going to get a lot of carries, it's going to be Tajee Atkins. We've talked about Davian Jackson, the Mississippi State transfer who switched from wide receiver to running back. There's some other younger guys, Jontavius Harris, Cole Pryor, but really those top 3, specifically Torrance Burgess and Tajee Atkins. I think it's more a battle between those 2 with Jalen Jenkins right outside the mix as well. But Tajee Atkins, that's a name you should you should be thinking about with that running back position? Great question, Curtis. Hope you're well again, my man. This is from at One Pack Cards. What's up, One Pack? Seen you around, seen your questions quite a bit. After some fall practice, what's your prediction on O-line starters and immediate backups, and the same for the defensive line? Kind of already went over the defensive line a little bit ago, but not the offensive line. So let's do that. On episode 239, I talk about starters, but not really the immediate backups. So this is a good question for it. Starters, left tackle, Sully Burns, left guard, Rashid Jackson, center, Justin DeLeon. Although we did hear G.J. Kinney, he did say it in a press conference, so I'm comfortable enough saying it. Justin DeLeon hasn't been practicing a whole lot. They anticipate him being back before the season starts, but I do still anticipate him being the starter. Even though we haven't seen him a lot in fall camp, he is still around the team working on the sideline. And I'll say this, it could also be a thing where there's certain players that they know what they got, who've been in with the system for a while, that they're just, it's more precautionary. No need to get this player injured in fall camp, especially if they have injury history. But yes, I digress. Let's go back. Left tackle Burns, left guard Rashid Jackson, center Justin DeLeon, right guard Bami Badusi, wearing number 77, and then at right tackle William Boone, the North Carolina transfer. Big guy, big starting offensive line if that's what you got. The immediate backups in no specific positions: Cam Schultz, Alan Grimmy, Atuni Rapati, who has been going with the ones at center while DeLeon is working out with the trainers on the sideline. Kurt Gilden at tackle, and then Kurt Gilden at guard, Jaden Luckett at left tackle. We've even heard Amir Ross be shouted out by G.J. Kinney. That's big baby, big guy. He was with the team last season, one of the biggest players they've had. And, just for posterity, defensive line real quick. Jolazin Landry and Don Terry Russell, those who I think are your two ends, your edge rushers. And I'm going to say Chancellor Owens, he's going to be with the ones. And I think Tay Woody is going to be there with him. I think it's going to be Chancellor Owens and Tay Woody. And then right below them, Bryce Carter, who has played a lot starter himself, may end up starting, and Philip Bradford directly below them at defensive tackle. And Tadarius Collins and Tymir Jackson backing up Joe Landry and Don Terry Russell. Should add that as well. With Blake Isbell getting a lot of playing time on that defensive line. All right, great stuff. Where were we? One Pack Cards. Great stuff, One Pack. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for always supporting and throwing questions at the mailbag. I always appreciate that. This one is from Eric MacArthur, still coming off of Twitter. Eric MacArthur at MacArthur. Why does, his words, not mine for the record, I just want that clear, and I'm gonna restart the question. Why does Nutsack continue to be looked at like top dogs and superior to Texas State, even though they went 7-6, 4-4 in conference, and finished 6th in the American Athletic Conference the past 2 years? They've only had a few good years, and that's it, yet considered top 3 in the G6. What am I missing? Now, our guy Eric MacArthur, he's talking about UTSA. UTSA, when you see a lot of these G6 polls or these national pundits or whomever talking about football, a ranking of all 136 teams, UTSA is above Texas State in quite a bit of these. You see a lot of these, who's a potential G6 team to make the college football playoff? UTSA right there. And I'm glad Eric brought this up, because I was thinking the same thing. Every time I see this, I'm like, didn't Texas State beat UTSA at home just last season? And then really beat them 2 years ago in San Marcos. It's 2 consecutive wins. Have done better in the standings the last 2 seasons. Bobcats are returning more players. Yes, I understand UTSA has Owen McCowan back. But Texas State has Brad Jackson back. And that's the one that really bothers me, Eric, is when I see Owen McCowan over Brad Jackson in somebody's list. Unbelievable. It's almost unfathomable. I don't understand it. The Bobcats Owen McCowan is 0-2. I've seen that tweeted out before. 0-2 versus Texas State. I don't understand it. I think it's people who just aren't paying attention, and they're just kind of used to Texas State being more middle of the road instead of top of the pack when it comes to the G6. I think that's people not paying attention to what's actually happened. It's not just Brad Jackson. It's an offense that has averaged 36 points per game the last 3 seasons. Each of the last 3 seasons was top 10 offense in the whole nation last season. Coach didn't leave, quarterback didn't leave. The 2,000-yard receivers, which, oh, by the way, only team in the country with 2 1,000-yard receivers. We've said that enough on this pod that I know all of you know that. Chris Don, Bo Sparks, they're back. Still have Jordan Shoemaker coaching the offensive line. I don't understand it. And even if anything, the one blemish has been the defense. I think early on in GJ's career, he also had some issues not taking the points, which he's come around on a little bit more. The first 2 seasons, that was an issue. Think of the Sam Houston State game that he did much better with last year. But really, the outside of that, it's been the defense. And what they do, they went out and did everything they could to repair that, getting a defensive coordinator, switching a lot of things around, getting some new blood in there. I don't understand. Maybe it's Jeff Traylor is getting he's been around for a while, and maybe they feel a little more trustworthy as far as being a team that has been really good. But Texas State has been better than UTSA the last 2 years, 3 years. Lost to them 3 years ago, but still I think the Bobcats have been a better team. It's been a while since they've been truly great, UTSA. So I'm with you, Mason. Or I'm sorry, Eric. Mason he's the next question. But I'm with you, Eric, 100%. Don't understand it. Texas State is better. Just people not paying attention. That's what I feel. Although Mason's question, I appreciated that these two questions were right next to each other, because this one kind of plays into that one a little bit. This one is for Mason Flores. Shout out to Mason at BigMace75 on Twitter. He says, this year again, there are high expectations of competing for a conference championship and even being a dark horse for the college football playoff. Would another 6-6 or even 7-5 season and settling for being happy with a bowl start or a bowl, will that start feeling like a failure? Great question from Mason. Because this might play into people's perception. Going back to Eric's question, the one we just answered, why is UTSA looked at as better than Texas State? And it might be because the Bobcats haven't truly ascended from the 2023 season. First season, winning record, bowl game, bowl win. It's fantastic. Finished the year 8-5, 7-5 in the regular season. Follow that up. Same thing. Did the same thing. 7-5, 8-5 after a bowl win. The following year, 6-6, 5-game losing streak. A lot of those games were very close. Still won the bowl game. Ended up 7-6. People might look at that as like, okay, 8-5, 7-6. Are we really going to project this team to ascend and go much further, or is this who they are, the middle of the ground type of teams? And if that happens again this year, specifically 6-6, 7-5 regular season finish, I'll feel good about an 8-4 finish, because that means they really got some good W's if the Bobcats finish 8-4. But yes, I will absolutely agree with 6-6, 7-5 regular season records. If that finishes, that will start to feel like a failure. It'll start. It's not saying that is a failure. It'll just create that, okay, that's 4 seasons in a row of this. It really has to go beyond that, or because this can't be the ceiling for this program. This can't be where it caps off at. It has to be able to go beyond. Maybe get those double-digit wins. And that's where I feel like the goal should be for Texas State. And 8-4 should make you very happy. 7-6, 6-6, start to question it a little bit. Start to be a little weary and be like, okay, we need to see some real improvement in year 5 of Bobcats coming back from irrelevance, because that's what has happened. It has been a major comeback for Texas State after being in the depths of irrelevance. But yeah, so yes, I will say it will. It'll start. I like the way how you said that. Will it start feeling like a failure? It will start to. And then if they do that again the following year, then it's like, okay, we might have to consider this a failure if it still stays middle of the ground. So great question, Mason. I like those two back to back on that one. These ones are on YouTube. Really appreciate the YouTubers getting out there and getting these questions in. All caps mailbag right there in the comments. Good turnout on these questions. Some nice thoughtful questions as well, including this one from our guy Derek at the Real D Wit on YouTube. Multiple questions, but they can be answered in one thought. Oh yeah, you know what? I prepared for this one. I prepared for this one and the two deep, the all-time two deep. I did some preparation. I even have some pictures for you on this one. But let's get to it. Let's get to his question. What's the all-time best Texas State alternate uniform helmet combo? Man, I guess I just realized that he asked alternate, and I was thinking all-time uniform, but that's okay because there's some alternates that we will discuss. Bonus points, predict the game week when they break it out this season. In parentheses, he put Curse of Cats helmet, Victory Star helmet, Blackout, SWT throwback. Then, if you were handed the keys to the uniform closet and could add one new alternate, what are you designing? He signed off Derek W. Great question. This one's going to be a lot of fun. At first, I thought you were asking my all-time logo. Like, if someone's like, what does Texas State football look like? What is their uniform like? Show me the Bobcats. It's got to be the gold, maroon, gold that they bust out. And I feel like, shout out to Colton McWilliams, the editor, sports editor at the San Marcos Daily Record, the sheriff of San Marcos Sports. He's the guy you always see with the cowboy hat. The reporter, you ever see a reporter with the cowboy hat? That's our guy Colton. He has a whole Google Docs going back to I believe the 80s, maybe even a little further, with all the uniform combos Texas State has busted out over the years, and it is fantastic. And I know at a quick glance, I should have made a note of what their record was in it, but when they wear the gold, maroon gold, the Bobcats, it feels like they always win. And when somebody is like, if somebody were to come up to me and be like, what are the Bobcats? What is their uniform like? Show me their best one. If you're watching on YouTube, you're really going to enjoy this. YouTube.com/@WinNowOrGetBent. Bam. Gold, maroon, gold. Just look at that right there. This is the bowl game that they busted it out in. It looks so clean. I love the Super Cat. I feel like, yes, there is the Victory Star. There are the Cat script as well is real nice. I love those alternate looks, even going to the throwback look. But the Super Cat, I feel like that is just the quintessential Texas State logo. If that's not enough gold, maroon, gold, here's Chris Don. They wore it against UTSA when they beat him a few years back, 2 years back. Look at that. Just look how good that looks. That is a Texas State look. We'll go back to that team look right there. Bam. They just look good. I love those. If we're talking alternates, which I guess really was the question, I love what we saw against UTSA in the Alamo Dome, the all whites with the star. That is my favorite alternate. It's not my favorite all-time jersey, but my favorite alternate. That all whites with the star, they just look good. They look like stormtroopers. They got that star on the helmet. It's a great, great look. I'll give a good shout out, of course. How can you not love the Southwest Texas State throwbacks? There's Brad Jackson looking great in that uniform. Love that look. It's hard to top that with the alternates, but man, they really got me with those all whites with the star. Let's look at it one more time. Look at that star right there. It's Cole Nillis right there and Chase Davis. Excited. I think that was after that goal line stop that they got. But there's one more. I have to give a good shout out with the alternates. The gold, black. There's Bo Sparks looking incredible. That's a great look. I don't know what their record is in the black jerseys. I don't think it's that great, but boy, does it look great. I'm a Spurs fan. I'm a Raiders fan, so I love the black. But the all-time alternate, that all-white star that they busted out. But you can't go wrong, ever, with the gold, maroon, gold. There's other combos that they have that I don't love. I love this one every time. I see that. It's like the Bobcats are coming. That's the one. But there you go. Great question. Great question from Derek. I put in, I had to throw in some pictures in there. That felt like a visual experience. I can't just talk about the uniforms and expect you to either look them up or picture it in your head. Much easier to just look at it. There you go. Thanks for that, Derek. Appreciate you chiming in with that question. We got 2 from this guy, my guy, Big Ragu. Big Ragu on YouTube. This is also a great question, one that I've gotten quite a bit. How come you do not have more Texas State swag gear up in your studio? It would be great to at least see a Texas State flag behind you. There's this one, you can't see it very well. I gotta figure something out with it. I've got the Texas State foam hand over here, right there. Really, this foam padding that we have in here, it keeps the outside noise away. It compacts the sound so it goes right into the microphone. With, say, if you have a fan on, you're not hearing all fan. It isolates the audio a little better in the room. That being said, I need a change. I need to do something. I have something in my studio that, where are you at? There we go. That it's in here because there's going to be a time where I set this up, this helmet, given to me by none other than Brant Freeman at Texas State. This awesome helmet, icy white helmet here. There was a time where I had like a stool and I had it behind me, but we're a little limited on space. There's got to be something I can do. I can put up some shelving, get it up there, get a nice light on the inside of it. But boy, do I love this helmet here. This is great. This is one of the better Texas State gifts I've ever received. So shout out to Brant, first guest ever on Win Now or Get Bent, episode 2, going all the way back to 2021. But yes, I digress. Big Ragu, changes need to come. I understand it. It looks like I'm in an insane asylum with the padded walls, but it does great things for the audio. That's the biggest reason it's like that. I do need to have some Texas State swag. My wife makes banners on Instagram. SMTX banners. Go check her out. Order a banner if you want. She's been real busy recently. In fact, she's making one for Terry Webb. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah, unrelated to me. It was I think it's Terry Webb's girlfriend or somebody reached out and ordered a banner. And I was like, hey, Terry Webb, Chargers. I was like, I know who that is. So shout out to Terry Webb. Maybe I'll get her to make a nice Win Now or Get Bent banner. I've told her, hey, put a banner up, free ad for your business. But she's been busy making lots of signs and raising babies. She's a busy lady. Big Ragu, yeah, we'll get some better stuff. Start of the season, how about that? I'll put a schedule on it. Start of the season, I'm gonna rework this studio so we have a little bit better decorations. Because I don't ever want to push the fake background button. I always think that looks goofy too. But great. He's got another one here. 2 questions from Big Ragu. You have been doing a Pac-12 101 series prior to the start of football season for the 7 other Pac-12 teams, football programs. Will you also do a Pac-12 101 episodes for Gonzaga, maybe prior to the start of basketball, and Dallas Baptist for baseball? Big Ragu, absolutely. Those plans are already in the making. I'm going to handle the football teams first, but I definitely will handle Gonzaga and Dallas Baptist and whoever else wants to join the Pac-12. Come on down. It's the new kids on the block. Hottest thing in the streets right now is the Pac-12. Whoever wants to join, we'll get a Pac-12 101 series. In fact, I have a Pac-12 101 series. The next one in the can, Colorado State. I interviewed Tyler King. Like I was saying at the top of the show, things happen in life. Haven't been able to get that one out, but we will have that one out this week as well. Colorado State, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the teams, including Gonzaga and Dallas Baptist. We will get there. Shout out to Big Ragu. Appreciate you with the 2 questions. This one is from Eddie Galvin 685. Eddie Galvin asks, where are we tailgating for the UT game? You guys are going to have to help out Eddie with this one in the comments. Where's everybody tailgating? I won't be tailgating. I'll be covering it. Be fighting that traffic. First time ever at DKR for myself. Saturdays I'm always covering the Bobcats, so I've never made it up for a Longhorns game. It's the first time Texas State has played them. So, all right, in my time in Austin. So, I will be busy. Help out Eddie in the comments. Where is the tailgate in Austin for Texas State? Shout out to Eddie. I hope you figure that out. I'll look in those comments as well, and when I see it, I'll give it a good shout out. Hey, how about Boco's backyard? Speaking of tailgating, those old intramural fields across the street from UFCU Stadium, now that's where everybody tailgates, grass, shade, much better situation. Gonna need some police to help everybody crossing the street. That shouldn't be a big issue though. Love it. Can't wait for that. We're going to have we have a good tailgate sponsor as well. Hint, hint. We will be getting to them closer to the season. But shout out to Eddie. Thank you, Eddie, for that. This one is from at GWJMTX. Can you do a Pac-12 conference predictions for every fall sport? Interested how our teams will line up or rank this season against Pac-12. I can. I don't have that prepared for you on this one, but that will be one that I will put a pin in, and we'll do that upcoming. I know soccer is going to be near the top. I know volleyball is going to be near the top. I anticipate softball being near the top. It's going to be a little difficult for men's basketball, women's basketball, new coach and everything going on with the hoop sports, but we know that's going to be pretty important in the Pac-12. Baseball, I anticipate the Bobcats to be competitive, although there's some sneaky good teams in there for baseball. So yes, I will put a pin in that, but I will come back to that. My guy at GWJMTX, we will cover some of those other sports. But all right, last question. This is one, like I said, crack your knuckles, get ready for it. Where are we? We're 45 minutes into the pod. I'm going to try and wrap this up by an hour. It's going to be hard. It's a lot of all-time Texas State, too deep. Been working on this one for a bit. The question is from at Derek De La Cruz 08 on Twitter. Derek De La Cruz, always appreciate you chiming in these mailbags. He says, I still need your all-time too deep, because he asked before in the last mailbag about an all-time too deep. I gave a tentative one, not one that I was like, okay, this is my definitive list. This is my definitive list. Doesn't mean it is the definitive list. It's my definitive list. It can be an argumentative list. And if you feel argumentative about it, please get in these comments, get in there and let me know, who did I miss? Who should be moved up, moved down, whatever you're thinking. Who was completely omitted that you're offended by? Anything you have about it. And hey, if you agree with the list, you can say something too. It's a little more fun to argue with these type of things. But here we go. All-time Texas State, Southwest Texas State Bobcats, too deep. Starting at the top, quarterback, Barrick Neely. That's the number one quarterback at Texas State. Played from 2003 to 2005. 2005 Southland Conference Player of the Year, an All-American. Third most career passing yards ever at Texas State was 7,206 yards and 8,933 total yards and 52 touchdowns, passing 70 total touchdowns, and that's all in 3 seasons. All of that. He is third on all those all-time stats I just told you, every stat I just listed. Third all-time at Texas State. He's the only guy in the top 10 listed that only played 3 seasons. Spurgeon Wynn, actually, 3 seasons as well. He's at the very bottom, like number 10 in some of these top 10s. In 2005, 13 rush touchdowns was a program record for a quarterback. Before that was surpassed by Brad Jackson, who has the all-time single-season rushing touchdown record for Texas State at 17, quarterback or not. But 13 touchdowns and 1,057 yards rushing in 2005. Real, true blue, dual threat. Switched to receiver in the NFL with the Vikings for a little bit. Then he went and played in the CFL for a long time. Was part of the team that won the Grey Cup. Recently coached at Texas State and has gone out of coaching to be closer with his family. Heard a little bit more of that probably shouldn't share on a podcast, but I totally respect what he is doing by stepping away. And I think Texas State found a really good coach with Kyle McDonald. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a Texas State, Southwest Texas State, all-time too deep. Barrick Neely, my top quarterback. My second quarterback, Bradley George. Played from 2006 to 2009. Most passing yards ever at Texas State with 9,556. Most passing touchdowns by 20. I think he's up by 22 with passing touchdowns. He had 76 in his career with the Bobcats as a 4-year starter. Most total touchdowns by any player was 79. Second most total offense with 9,786. Tyler Jones at the top of that list for total yards. Need some Tyler Jones respect. Outright Sun Belt Championship in 2008. Barrick Neely, they were co-Southland. I'm sorry. Did I say South? I said Southland. Okay, good. Co-Southland champions in 2005. Barrick Neely, an outright Southland Conference champion in 2005 for Bradley George. In my notes, I wrote Sun Belt. That's what was throwing me off. Some honorable mentions at quarterback. I won't do honorable mentions for every position, but when there's one, we're only naming two guys. There's more guys to talk about. Tyler Jones definitely deserves some respect. A 4-year starter, like I was saying, all time in total yards at Texas State. A great career. Brad Jackson, he might break onto this list. It's early now. He's had the one really great season, the true freshman season, where he got in there and rushed for a bunch of touchdowns. That looked great as well. This is his third season. Some more time, and maybe he'll break onto that list. But for right now, he's an honorable mention. Mike Miller deserves some love as well. 4-year starter at Southwest Texas State. Won their first national championship in 1981. Ron Jacoby replaced Mike Miller behind center and won another championship the following year for the Bobcats. So both Mike Miller and Ron Jacoby deserve some praise. And Jim Duncan, one of my favorite Bobcats of all time. I see him all the time at practices. Diamond Jim Duncan. He played from 67 to 71, won a conference championship for the Bobcats, and even playing back then in an era where they ran the ball all the time, he's still top 10 in passing yards. So shout out to Jim Duncan. Diamond Jim, one of the most proud Bobcats out there of all time. I'm going to try to avoid one-and-done guys. There's a couple one-and-done season guys, but Jordan McLeod deserves a bit of recognition here as well, because that was a great season his 1 year with the Bobcats. All right, running back. This is another one that's it's a no-doubter. I can't anticipate anybody out there saying that I'm wrong here. Claude Mathis. Career rushing yards, 4,964. That's a program record. Career rushing touchdowns, 45. That's a program record. 3 of the top 5 best single seasons in program history, all by Claude Mathis, including the top 2. Number 1, he went for 1,595 yards in 97. He went for 1,593 yards in 96 and 1,289 yards in 1995. He was all-conference and all-American all 4 years he was a starter, and he left college as the all-time leading rusher in the Southland Conference's history. Claude Mathis. There you go. That's a name all of you should know. That should be a no-doubter. This one I'm anticipating maybe a little bit of pushback. We'll see what happens when I say it. Ricky Sanders played from 1980 to 1983 for the Bobcats as a running back. 2 national championships for the Bobcats. Switched to receiver in the NFL and had a terrific NFL career. 2 Super Bowl wins with Washington, including a game where he had 186 yards, I believe. I may have that number wrong. It's around there. Should have gotten MVP in that game. Didn't get the Super Bowl MVP, but during the celebration, he caught a pass from Ronald Reagan while the team was celebrating at the White House. So Ricky Sanders is my number 2 because he was a running back at Texas State before being a prolific wide receiver. I just think you win 2 national championships, you do what you did, you win 2 Super Bowls, you got to be on this all-time Bobcats list. Some honorable mentions. I'm going to keep guys off who transferred away, and that's why I didn't want to put Ish Mahdi there. Although the 2 seasons he was with the Bobcats were fantastic. Great to see he's able to get another season of eligibility and play at Arizona. Lincoln Perry deserves some love as well. One of the most quintessential Bobcats I've ever covered. Glad to see him. He's as an assistant running backs coach. And I know once he's healed, he's going to try and go play some more because he is a great player. Still think he's got something left in him at the next level. Carrington Bush deserves some love. Part of that 2008 team that won the Southland Conference. Rob Lowe, one of the first 1,000-yard rusher at the FBS level. He definitely deserves some love. A lot of running backs for Texas State. But like I said, a ton of names we're going to go over, so those are the only guys I'm going to be doing honorable mentions at running back and quarterback, where there's only 2 of them. Want to shout out some other guys, but let's go to wide receiver and have 3 starting wide receivers for this all-time 2 deep, and then 3 backups. Number one receiver, Cameron Luke. It's Bradley George's favorite target, played from 2006 to 2008. Program record in receiving touchdowns, most yards in a season with 1,268 in 2008, and 3rd most yards with 1,035 in 2007. Top 2 best seasons in receiving touchdowns with 12 in 2007 and 17 receiving touchdowns in 2008. 2nd most receiving yards ever with 2,431, and 4th most catches with 142. Cameron Luke. the most decorated receiver that's ever been a Bobcat. He was fun to watch. I still can't believe he didn't make it to the next level. He had a 4.7, I believe, was his 40 at Pro Day. That really held him back a little bit. But what a great player. I was honored enough to be able to cover him. Old enough, I should say. Here's a player I wasn't old enough to cover. Johnny Parker played from 1969 to 1971. Just 3 seasons, but he's still the career leader in receptions with 160. And also wide receiver yards, 2,479. Third most touchdowns at 19, including 8 in 1969. He held a program record for most catches in a game with 12 in 1969 until Ashton Hawkins in 2002 broke it with 13. Joey Hobart also caught 13 in 2023. Johnny Parker, I was mentioning Jim Duncan earlier. That was his favorite target. When he talks about his yards, he's very humble and says if it wasn't for Johnny Parker, I wouldn't have gotten a lot of those yards. So shout out to Johnny Parker. I believe he recently passed, so rest in peace to Johnny Parker. Third receiver on this 2 deep, Joey Hobart. Played from 2023 to 2024, just 2 seasons, but third most career receptions with 142, third most in a season with 76, and 5th most the following season with 70. Great player, Joey Hobart, back as an assistant receivers coach for Texas State. I didn't put this next player in the 1 or the 2 deep because I feel like if you're having a 4 receiver set with the ones, this is the first receiver out that you put out there. It's David Villa. I believe it's Villa. David Villa. I've never said it out loud. Now I've always just read the name. David Villa played from 1979 to 1982, 3-time conference champ, 2 national championships. Still has a program record with 20.89 yards per catch. That's 21 yards a grab that he would make back in the 70s, 80s. Third most touchdowns in program history was 17. Had 11 in 1981. Only 44 catches in 1981, but still broke the school record for yards in a season with 971. Wasn't a high volume receptions guy. He was a high volume yards guy. So David Villa up there with the ones. Going for the backups, we know these next 2 names at wide receiver, Bo Sparks and Chris Don Jr. Both of them are on the 2 deep. Maybe they have a chance to surpass some of these guys with a terrific season and get into the ones here, but they're still playing. Their careers aren't over, so we're keeping them here at the second spot. But just 4 times a Tech State player has gained over 1,000 yards. 4 times. Cameron Luke did it twice, and then Bo Sparks and Chris Don last season. Those are the only 4 times. So that is why they are on the list. And the third receiver and the wide receiver 2s, DeMarcus Griggs, played 2007 to 2010, second most career receptions with 154, had a single season record at Tech State with 80, and he did that in 2009 before Sparks broke that record last year with 84. Caught 65 passes in 2010 as well, 4th most career yards at 1,990, and 9th in touchdowns with 14. So DeMarcus Griggs deserves some respect. Made the all-time Tech State 2 deep. We're going over to tight ends. Boy, this is a long endeavor, huh? I said I was going to try and stick it at 15 minutes, and we're not even outside of the offense. We're gonna start going a little faster. Keenan Brown is my number 1 tight end for Texas State. He is a rare one-and-done guy on this list. I'm pretty sure he's the only one-and-done guy in the ones on this list, but that one season was amazing. 2018, he had 51 catches for 577 yards and 5 touchdowns, plus another 8 rushes for 75 yards and a score. They'd run him out of the Wildcat as a tight end. He caught an astounding 76% of the passes he was targeted on. 76% of the time a ball was thrown Keenan Brown's way, he got a reception. He was an All-American with the top tight end grade on Pro Football Focus. He decided to forego his final season. There was a coaching switch. That was Withers last year. They switched to Spavital. He decided to go to the NFL draft. This is pre-transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff. So he decides to go to the NFL draft, isn't drafted, gets to a camp, didn't make the team, and that's that for Keenan Brown. Really wish he would have stayed another season. I think Jake Spavital would have been able to find something special out of him, even though that was the Stitt season in 2019. I still think Brown would have been great if he came back. Keenan Brown, he's the lone one and done on this list. Behind him is the guy who wasn't one and done, Bradley Miller, played from 2011 to 2014, 84 catches, 897 yards, and 3 scores in his career. He had 44 grabs for 431 yards and a touchdown in 2014, which earned him All-SBC first team. He did a lot more than stats. I'm talking about catches and everything that I was just laying out. He was a team leader. It was well known that was a voice in that room, a pretty good team. 2013, 2014, Dennis Franchione era, he was one of the leading voices there. So Bradley Miller gets on that list. Those are two guys that I covered personally. I feel like maybe I'm forgetting some history. So if there's a tight end that you think I'm forgetting, please chime in the comments. Let me know about that one. Offensive line, I didn't put their accolades when I listed them because 10 guys are about to name right here. I did go real deep on the offensive line, reading in the Hall of Honor and finding some of these names, so it's not just a lot of current guys, because I know there was a lot of prestige and honored offensive linemen throughout the history. Number one is a player I covered. Aaron Brewer played from 2016 to 2019, still in the NFL, just got a big paycheck for him. Started at all 5 positions on the offensive line. Great player. Really going to be hard for me to ever supersede him at the top spot of offensive lineman at Texas State. Next to him, Nash Jones, 2023 to 2024. Just a tough player, all-around leader, played through injuries, scored a touchdown in a bowl game. Might be the only player on this list that has scored a touchdown. DJ Hall, after him, 2008 to 2011. Great player there as well. Jeff Novak played from 1987 and 1989, and Irvin Thomas played from 1987 to 1991. Backups here, we have. Sorry, if I'm saying your last name wrong. Tom Kurtstury played from 2001 to 2005. One of the more decorated players ever for Texas State. Tom Kurtstury. And Kevin Muth. I've seen Kevin Muth on Twitter, actually, around and everything. Same with Tom. Seen them guys. They're still supporting the Bobcats. Kevin Muth, one of the best offensive linemen at Texas State, 1983 to 1986. Greg Gilcrease, as well as a name I've heard quite a bit, 1979 to 1981. David Bailiff, bit of an honorary push for this one. He was played right before the national championships, 1977 and 1980. Came back to be the head coach of the Bobcats, was Barrick Neely's head coach, coached a lot of great players at Texas State, and now he is still at Texas State as a special assistant to the coach. And my last offensive lineman, Will Trevilian, who played from 2013 to 2015. Might not have as decorated career as some of these other players. He is a real special player, was special to the team, switched from defense to offense in his career. He passed away before his senior season, and the weight room at Texas State is named after him because his father, Bo Trevilian, still a very proud Bobcat, and honoring his legacy by doing that. So we're going to honor his legacy and put him in here as well. All-time 2 deep for Texas State, Will Trevilian. All right, let's go to defense. Defensive line, Fred Evans. That's a name you should know if you don't. Only 2 seasons with the Bobcats, 2004 to 2005, but he had 33 and a half tackles for a loss in those 2 seasons. This is Barrick Neely, David Bailiff era. David Bailiff, we got to have him back on the pod so he can call me Cliff again. He still loves telling that story 3 years later. He can call me Cliff, whatever he wants to, as long as he talks to me about Fred Evans. So I want to hear about those seasons. He had 17 and a half tackles for a loss in 04 and then 18 in 05. He ended up playing 90 NFL games across 8 seasons. So Fred Evans right there on the defensive line. Right next to him, Savion Patton for me. He might not have the stats as some of these guys. Played from 2017 to 2021. 44 games, 179 tackles, 11 and a half TFLs, 5.5 sacks, and 7 pass defenses. Big guy knocking down some passes. He was a nose tackle, was a leader of this team, went on and he got real deep into Colts training camp, 2 different off seasons as when he was done with the Bobcats. Played during a time where there was turmoil and always kept a smile on his face, was a leader on this team. Him and Brian London were stalwarts during that time on this defense, so he belongs on this list, some of the greatest defensive linemen to ever play for the Bobcats. Right next to him, we have Rod Clark. national title era. He played, I don't know why I didn't put the years that he played at Texas State, but he's second all time in sacks for the Bobcats at 27 and a half. Rod Clark right there. Right next to him, Bobby Kotzer, 1975 All-American. He was an NFL draft pick himself. For the twos, the backups on the defensive line, I have Levi Bell, a one-and-done guy, not a starter like Keenan Bell, but a one-and-done guy. Might be the only one on the entire defense that I put on this list because his one season was special. 2022, 66 tackles, 13 and a half tackles for a loss, 5 sacks, and 7 QB hits. He was great. One of the highest rated defensive linemen on Pro Football Focus that season. Got really deep into Seattle Seahawks camp. Was even playing fullback for the Seahawks for a while. Shout out to Levi Bell. Ben Bell, not on this list because he transferred out. If you transferred out and you didn't finish as a Bobcat, I'm leaving you off the list. That's just how it goes. Next to Levi Bell, though, here's the name that if you don't know, you should know. Try and let it stick in your brain. 2013 to 2014, Michael Odieri, 2 seasons with the Bobcats. He played he had 73 tackles, 13 tackles for a loss, and 9 sacks in 2014. It's really that 2014 season why he is on this list. That 7-5 finish for the Bobcats that year. Didn't get into a bowl game, but he was first team All Sun Belt that year. A really great player. I didn't have his 2013 stats here, but he was really good. He was a strong player. His first season with the Bobcats. So Michael Odieri, putting him on the list. Right next to him, Nico Ezador. Hopefully you remember that name. That's from modern times, if you will. Played from 2018 to 2022. 75 games played for the Bobcats by Nico Ezador. 196 tackles, 28 and a half tackles for a loss, 8 and a half sacks, 4 pass defenses. Nico Ezador, definitely deserving of being on this all-time 2-deep for Texas State. And so is Jordan Revels, a relatively undersized player for the Bobcats. He's listed at 6 foot, but he's more like 5'10", which is crazy for a guy who's playing edge outside linebacker with that height. If God had blessed him with a little more verticality, he'd be playing on Sundays right now, no doubt about it. But he made the most of it from 2019 to 2023, played in 52 games, 35 starts, 226 tackles, 31 TFLs, and 9.5 sacks and 3 pass defenses for Jordan Revels. So he makes it onto this all-time Texas State 2-deep. Let's go to linebacker. Stiff competition at linebacker, but it's pretty easy at the top. David Mayo. David Mayo, you know that name, 2012 to 2014, 284 career tackles, 154 tackles in 2014, which was second in the nation. Named Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year that season, 89 tackles and 4 interceptions in 2013. Played 106 NFL games and 204 tackles across 8 seasons. David Mayo, drafted in the 5th round that year. Shout out to David Mayo. Always nice to say his name on a pod. Same for this next guy, Brian London II. Played 2015 to 2019. Career leader in tackles at Texas State with 458. Right next to them, I have 3 linebackers. We're doing a 4-3 on this defensive 2-deep. Cyril Friday played from 1980 to 1983. 2 national championships, 3rd all-time at Texas State in sacks, and 6th in tackles with 362. Played from 1980 to 1983 for Cyril Friday. His linebacker mate is the first on the 2-deep for linebackers. Tim Staskis also played from 1980 to 1983, was an All-American and Lone Star Conference first-team player in 82 and in 1983. So Tim Staskis starts us up for the backup linebackers on this Bobcats all-time 2-deep. Right next to Tim Staskis, we have Greg Pitts. Played from 1999 to 2002, 2-time All-American, 2nd most in tackles at Texas State with 447, 4th in sacks with 23.5, and a program record 19 TFLs in 2002. Boy, it was hard to keep him off the starting unit because what an illustrious career he had. Right next to Pitts, we have Jeremy Castillo from 2003 to 2006, one of the first Texas State Bobcats, right after that name change in 2003. 320 career tackles. 3 times he led the Bobcats in tackles his last 3 seasons. And he had 5 forced fumbles in 2005. Love that stat. Let's go to corners. Going to start picking up the pace a little bit. We're getting there. We're almost to the end. Corners, all-time corners, I have Craig Mager. That's a name you should know. Played 5 seasons with the Bobcats from 2010 to 2014. 48 games played, 8 picks, which is tied for the FBS record, a punt return touchdown, a fumble return touchdown, a third-round NFL pick that played 4 seasons in the NFL. Craig Mager still comes around too. Cheers on the Bobcats. Proud Bobcat, Craig Mager. My other starting corner for this Texas State Bobcats all-time two-deep, Daryl Morris. 4-year starter, played from 2008 to 2012, played corner. His last season started his career as a safety, switched to corner and made 4 interceptions that year, stuck with corner going into the league. So that's why we're putting him at corner here. He could have made the list at safety as well, though. All Southland as a safety and all WAC as a corner. So he was an all Southland player and an all WAC player that first and only year in the WAC. 5 seasons and 53 games in the NFL with 2 interceptions and 98 tackles. Daryl Morris, pretty good 1-2 punch at that corner. Craig Mager and Daryl Morris. Below them, I have Mac Sauls. Don't feel bad if that's not a name you know. It's one I had to learn about myself. A lot of these names. Had to do a lot of research. Didn't want to have just all modern guys. Didn't want recency bias to creep in because Mac Sauls played from 1964 to 1967. His 25 career interceptions is still a program record at Texas State. One that has held true since the 60s. Second most and fourth most in a season. He had 8 in 1965 and 6 in 1966. Max Sauls making the all-time Bobcats two deep. Southwest Texas State Bobcat player getting in there. Next to him, Cordell Rogers. That may be a name that you remember. Played for 6 seasons with the Bobcats from 2017 to 2022. Second most FBS picks with 7, including 2 pick sixes. Electric. Always, it seemed like he was always making plays. 51 games with 25 pass defenses and 156 tackles. He played a little safety as well, mainly corner. I felt like that was his best position. He was a high school quarterback coming out of Lufkin. One of my favorite Bobcats I've ever covered. Cordell Rogers. At safety, we have Ken Coffey. Only played 2 seasons with the Bobcats, but he has a national championship. He had 7 picks in 1981, and he played in the NFL for a long time. Really good NFL career in the 80s. Ken Coffey is my first safety up there. And my second safety, I will admit, this is a bit of this is a legend at Texas State, so he deserves to be in the starting unit at that safety position. Even if there are some guys who had maybe a more decorated career at safety, but I put Jason Washington, played from 1998 to 2001, 150 career tackles, 2 interceptions with a pick 6 as a senior. He was a team captain on football and the baseball team. He's still top 10 at Texas State in stolen bases. A two-way player that was terrific at both sports he played at. Went on to coach the Bobcats in multiple different stints. I think it was his first coaching job was coaching the corners. Came back later on in the Franchione era. But Jason Washington, I feel like he is a Bobcat that deserves recognition on this all-time Bobcats list. I put him in there as a starter, although these 2 backups I'm about to list definitely deserve to have some consideration, and maybe some of you think they should be in there. My first backup, Jerron Morris. 2018 to 2022, tied for the most FBS picks at Texas State with 8, tied with Craig Mager. 50 games with the Bobcats, 35 pass defenses in 50 games. That's a really good percentage. 35 pass defenses in 50 games. He had 243 career tackles. He had that 100-yard pick 6 in 2020. That 2020 year gets a little lost. Bobcats one of only 4 teams that played all 12 games during the COVID year. And Jerron Morris was all over the place. He also had 4 forced fumbles and a blocked kick. He just did everything. Wasn't the biggest guy. Listed at 5'8", might not have been that tall. Real tough player. Had a bad hip injury second to last season. Came back for that last year and played strong. So Jerron Morris making this safeties list. And our last player we're going to name for this Texas State, Southwest Texas State, all-time two deep, C.J. Carroll. 1997 to 2000, he was a walk-on. He's still the all-time leader in sacks at Texas State, a safety is the all-time leader in sacks at Texas State with 32. He had 11 sacks as a senior. He was the 2000 Southland Defensive Player of the Year, a 4-year starter despite being a walk-on. So C.J. Carroll, that's a player that I had to learn about during this whole process. When I found him, a lot of these guys are names that I was like, oh, wow, I did not realize that about their career. C.J. Carroll was definitely one I was very impressed with. But all right, there you go. There's the all-time two-deep. Derek De La Cruz, I got it to you. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna put that in some sort of graphic and post it on social media so you can actually see my list and maybe argue about it. Because as I'm reading it, it probably would have been nice to have the list for the pod. But we'll get that to you in some capacity. But boy, all right. Before my voice gives out, let's do this outro. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/winnoworgetbent. If you're not watching on YouTube, check us out, youtube.com/@winnoworgetbent. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Start an account for a friend, a family member, an enemy, who cares, to help us get these numbers up, work our way up the algorithm. If you're not subscribed, get on there and subscribe. Even if you're an audio head like me, you put the headphones in, you walk around, make sure you get on YouTube and subscribe for us on there. And also, on your audio platforms you're listening to, Apple, Spotify, make sure you're subscribed there. That way the download just automatically hits your phone as soon as the pod comes out. Check us out on Twitter, @WinNowOrGetBent on Twitter. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok, @WNOGB. On those platforms, again, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Help us grow. Help us get bigger and bigger so we can keep on doing this thing. Keep the lights on. Maybe get better decorations in the studio. That's that'll really help. The more subscribers, more decorations go up. That's how it goes. Thank you to TGC LLC. Thank you to Family First Cremation Services. Thank you to BHIHats.com. Don't forget, WNOGB at your checkout gets you 10% off. BHIHats.com. And of course, thank you to you sickos. Thank you for your patience waiting for this mailbag. You're a true blue sicko. If you are listening at this point in the podcast, if you're hearing me still talking, God bless you. You are the sickest of sickos. I hope you enjoyed that all-time two deep and answering all the other questions, because we're going to have much more content coming up for y'all this week and into the season. I've only got a couple more weeks of fall camp before the season starts. So we're gonna be bringing you the goods. The Pac-12 101 series is still going. We're gonna have some good guests. I've lined up some good Texas State guests, so stay tuned, everybody. Keep in the mix. But until then, win now or get bent.